Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
So, with that, we move on to learning more about our vegetation, about the plants around us. So, we move on to topic 1, and here we'll understand what ecosystem is. We understood about vegetation, natural vegetation, about different kinds of plants, right? Now we'll see what ecosystem is. We already learned little bit about biosphere, how the plants, animals, they form biosphere, right? Now what is ecosystem? Now these plants, animals are also part of the ecosystem. Okay, they're very important part of the ecosystem. But ecosystem is much more than that. Ecosystem is a complex set of relationship between these plants, between these animals, between the place where they live, between the natural resources that they take for themselves, like sunlight, food, water, etc. So the relationship between plants, animals and their surroundings and the place where they live and the resources that they use, that is what ecosystem is. Okay? So it is a complex relationship. In that relationship, some depend on one another, some do not depend on one another, some influences the lives of the other. So that is why it is called complex relationship. It's not simple. It's not like the sunlight is received by the plant and the plant gives back something else to the sunlight. It's not as simple as that. Okay, sunlight is received by the plant makes it as their food. Now that goes back to the ecosystem. Okay, the animals eat the plants. Now the animals use that plant in their own way, and again the animal is used by human beings. So it is a complex relationship between all these things together, and that relationship goes on to form the ecosystem. All right, now ecosystem, like I said, it includes plants, trees, animals, fish, birds, microorganisms, the things that are so tiny that we can't see with our eyes. We need microscopes to magnify their size. And there are other organisms which we can see with our eyes. All right. It also includes water, soil, also people, human beings. So all of these together with their relationship with one another, okay, that forms the ecosystem. Now this ecosystem is influenced by various factors, all right, and those factors are climate, soil, relief, drainage. Okay, because of the climate, the ecosystem will be distinct from the other ecosystem. If it's a hot climate, the region will have a very particular or very specific ecosystem than the climate or the region where the climate is very cold. All right. Now, if the region is very dry, there is no river. We learned about the drainage system, right, in the last chapter. So the drainage system means the river system, right? So if an area is arid, that means it's very dry, like Rajasthan, right? So there is no proper water bodies present there. Okay, the water is not plentiful there. So in that, a very specific ecosystem develops. Okay, if the area, the landscape is very mountainous and the climate is also cold, a very particular distinct ecosystem develops there. So what I'm trying to say here is that the ecosystem is influenced by factors like climate, landscape, relief, drainage, soil, etc. Okay, depending on these factors, the ecosystem develops into its distinct ecosystem. All right. Now, so plants also grow accordingly. Okay, same plants do not grow everywhere. Plants grow in these groups, in communities, and the growth of these plants depend upon the climate, depend upon the landscape. Alright, the same plant cannot be grown everywhere, whether it is a cold region, whether it is a hot region. Okay, so certain plants, they grow in areas that have similar climatic conditions. Okay, now those plants which grow in distinct groups of communities in areas that have similar climatic conditions, they are called flora. Flora for plants. Okay, and in the similar manner, animals also thrive in areas depending on how similar that climatic condition of that region is. Okay, just like the plants. So the animals are called fauna. Alright, so flora and fauna. Now these are distinct. Okay, so specific kind of animals will be found in climatic regions where it is hot. If the climatic condition of a region is cold, then another distinct group of animals and plants will be found in that region. Okay, now these flora and fauna, they are interdependent. They depend upon each other. Okay, and they depend upon each other for their coexistence, to live together. Okay, so if you for example think of a forest, say for example a forest in Maharashtra. Okay, there's a big forest reserve, and then you imagine the trees, the plants grown there, and the animals living there. So the animals and the vegetation, okay, the wildlife and the vegetation, for their coexistence, to live together in that region, they have to depend on each other. Okay, because if there is a slight change in the vegetation, if there is a slight change in the plants and animals, then it immediately affects the lives of the animals. Okay, if there is a slight change in the lives of the animals, then it affects the growth or the condition of the vegetation present there. Alright, so because of this, they co-depend upon each other. They depend upon each other to live together. Alright, and they have to balance. If that balance is not maintained, then the lives of the animals as well as the plants and trees will be in danger. Okay. And these not only depend upon each other, the plants depending upon the animals, animals depending upon the plants, but they also depend on their physical environment, the environment around them, the place where they live, whether they have water, whether they have rivers, whether they are close to the ocean, whether they have mountains, whether it's a dry land. Okay, so all that physical environment, whether the air is clean or the air is dirty, or they live near the industrial area where there are a lot of factories and industries, so all that also depends upon the lives of the plants and animals living in that area. Now you see all these animals, plants, depending upon the environment around them, they all form the ecosystem, the complex relationship. Remember in the beginning of this topic, we said that ecosystem is this complex set of relationships between the plants, animals, and the environment that they live in. Okay, so all that forms the ecosystem. Now human beings are also very important part of that ecosystem. Okay, major participant in that human ecosystem. Human beings are actually part of the animal world. Just like how the animal world is, human beings are also part of the animal world. But just because humans have special skills and abilities which the animals don't have, we can think, we can decide, we are wiser. The animals aren't. Animals cannot decide for themselves. Animals cannot take decisions. They cannot be prime minister, president, right? So because of these skills, the humans are set apart. The humans become superior to the animals. And once they become superior because of their abilities and skills, they dominate over other animals in their environment. The humans become masters. They hold the land, they control the land, they control the resources, they take charge of the environment and the ecosystem. Okay? And because of their actions, how they live, how they dominate over the animals and plants and the ecosystem, they change. Their actions lead to changes in the landscapes, in the areas around them. And those changes results in the extinction of certain plants and animal species. Okay? So you see, the human beings are wiser. The human beings have special skills and abilities, but if they do not become careful of how they're using their skills and abilities, then they also cause the extinction of certain plants, vegetation and wildlife. Alright?